No. The word hangs in my pristine office like a death sentence. Through floor-to-ceiling windows, Manhattan spreads below us, a city that finally belongs to me. Mom and Jessica sit across from my glass desk, their once perfect facades crumbling like old paint. Designer clothes wrinkled beyond recognition, hollow cheeks where confidence used to live, desperate eyes darting between my success and their failure. The golden child, tarnished at last. My heart pounds a steady rhythm, not from fear, but from the strange satisfaction of watching karma unfold in real time. The mahogany desk between us feels like a fortress I've built brick by brick, dollar by dollar, success by success. They can't reach me here anymore, never again. Family helps each other, right? Jessica's voice wavers, but I catch the familiar manipulative undertone threading through her desperation like poison through honey. She leans forward, her knockoff designer bag sliding off her lap with a pathetic thud. After everything, you wouldn't just abandon us, would you? Everything. The word ricochets through my skull. What everything? The years of blame? The stolen money? The systematic destruction of my self-worth? My fingers tighten around the edge of my desk until my knuckles go white. The irony almost makes me laugh, a bitter, crystalline sound that would shatter whatever illusions they still harbor. Instead, I cross my arms and ask the question that's burned in my throat for years, the one that's carved grooves into my soul. When I needed help, where were you? The silence that follows is deafening. I watch Mom's face cycle through emotions: shock, anger, calculation, desperation. Jessica blinks rapidly, probably searching for another lie, another performance, another way to twist this moment to her advantage. 3 years ago, I stood in that same living room with $60 and a duffel bag, asking myself the same question. Today, I finally get to ask it out loud. My shoulders ache as I push open our front door, the familiar strain of an 8-hour bookstore shift making every muscle fiber scream. The scent hits me first, that particular cocktail of Mom's vanilla candles and underlying tension. That's been this house signature since childhood. I breathe it in despite myself, my body instinctively bracing for whatever storm is brewing inside. The moment I step across the threshold, something in the air changes. The living room feels charged, heavy with the atmospheric pressure I've learned to recognize since I was old enough to walk on eggshells. It's the same feeling that preceded every family discussion, that electric anticipation of being blamed for something I didn't do. Mom stands in the center of the room like a general surveying a battlefield, arms crossed in the position that has haunted my nightmares since childhood. The late afternoon light streaming through our threadbare curtains catches the harsh lines around her mouth, lines that seem deeper today. My stomach drops before she even opens her mouth, my body's learned response to 23 years of conditional love. There you are. Her voice carries that razor edge I know too well, the tone that could slice through steel and has certainly cut through any confidence I've ever tried to build. Jessica perches on the couch edge like a wounded bird, lower lip trembling in a performance I've witnessed 1,000 times before. Every muscle in her face is carefully arranged to convey innocence, victimhood, the need for protection. On the coffee table between them lies a crisp white letter, university letterhead clearly visible even from where I stand frozen in the doorway. The official seal seems to mock me, another authority figure ready to pass judgment. My eyes catch fragments of words that feel like physical blows: academic dishonesty and immediate expulsion. This is your fault. Mom's voice cracks through the air like a whip designed specifically to flay skin from bone. Each word is carefully weighted, deliberately chosen for maximum impact. You put too much pressure on Jessica. She had no choice but to cheat. The accusation hits like a sledgehammer to my chest, stealing my breath and making my vision blur at the edges. My brain spins backward through time, desperate to find logic in the chaos. 8-year-old me in the principal's office. Mom's fingers digging into my wrist like talons as she blamed me for Jessica's stolen lunch money. The security camera footage later proved Jessica took it herself, clear as daylight. but the apology never came. Just silence and the understanding that truth didn't matter in this house, only appearances. Christmas morning after Christmas morning, Jessica unwrapping designer handbags, her face glowing with a kind of pure joy I learned to envy, while I received second-hand coats with price tags still attached. The adhesive residue a reminder that even my gifts were afterthoughts. Jessica deserves nice things, Mom would say, her voice carrying the implication that I somehow didn't. You don't need to be spoiled. The subtext was always clear. You're not worth spoiling. Senior year, 2 part-time jobs that left my hands permanently stained with coffee and printer ink, saving every penny for a car that represented freedom, only for Mom to demand the money for Jessica's new laptop. She needs it for school, as if my education was somehow less important, less worthy of investment. As if I was somehow less. The memories cascade like dominoes, each one triggering the next in an avalanche of injustice. Always Jessica. Always my fault. Always my sacrifice. The pattern so entrenched it feels like gravity, natural, inescapable, the fundamental law of our household physics. You're ungrateful. Mom snatches the expulsion letter with movements so sharp they seem designed to cut the air itself, thrusting it in my face like evidence in a trial where I'm both defendant and prosecutor. The paper crinkles in her white-knuckled grip, and I can smell her familiar perfume mixed with desperation, a scent that will forever remind me of manipulation dressed up as motherly concern. You're the reason this family is falling apart. Something fundamental cracks inside me, not breaks, but transforms. Like ice shifting under pressure, changing form, but not substance. I look at my mother, really look at her, and for the first time see the truth with crystalline clarity. She doesn't see me as a daughter. I'm just a convenient scapegoat, a receptacle for every failure, every disappointment, every flaw she can't bear to acknowledge in her golden child. The realization doesn't hurt the way I expected it to. Instead, it feels like waking up from a fever dream, like stepping out of a house that's been slowly filling with carbon monoxide. The relief is almost dizzying. My eyes drift to Jessica, and I study her face with the detachment of a scientist examining a specimen. She watches our confrontation in silence, not apologizing, not even pretending to be grateful for Mom's defense. Instead, there's something else in her expression, not quite satisfaction, but close. A smugness that suggests she knows exactly how this will end, with her walking away unscathed, just like always, while I bear the weight of consequences that were never mine to carry. The weight of 23 years presses down on my shoulders, heavier than any bookstore shift, heavier than the expectations I've carried like stones in my pockets since childhood. If I stay, this will be my entire life. Always sacrificing, always invisible, always wrong. A supporting character in someone else's story, never the protagonist of my own. My gaze falls on the front door, still open from when I entered, showing a slice of the darkening sky beyond. That opening represents everything I've never had: freedom, uncertainty, the terrifying and exhilarating chance to live for myself, to make mistakes that are mine alone, to succeed or fail on my own terms. What? Mom scoffs, following my gaze. You're leaving? You have nowhere to go. You'll be back in a week, begging. I don't respond. I walk to my bedroom, the smallest in the house, barely furnished. My hands move on autopilot, stuffing a duffel bag with essentials. A few changes of clothes. A worn notebook. The $60 I've managed to hide from Mom's borrowing. Before I leave, my eyes catch on a photo frame. Me as a child, smiling before I understood what this house would become. I take it. The night air hits my face as I step outside. Cold, but somehow lighter than any breath I've taken in that house. Behind me, Mom's voice carries across the yard. Go ahead. Don't come crying to me when the world chews you up. I don't look back. You'll come crawling back. You have nothing. No one. Mom's words chase me down empty streets. The night air wraps around me like a cold sheet, and my fingers clench tighter around my duffel bag strap. $60, a change of clothes, a photo I should have left behind. The weight of what I've done crashes over me in waves. Each step carries me further from everything I've ever known. The neighborhood stretches endless and dark ahead, porch lights flickering on one by one, families settling in for dinner, movie nights, all the normal things that happen in normal homes. Where do you go when home stops being home? I walk until my feet ache. Pride keeps me from pulling out my phone, scrolling through the short list of contacts who might let me crash on their couch. I won't prove mom right. Not tonight. 2 hours in, exhaustion hits like a physical blow. The 24-hour train station glows ahead. Not safe exactly, but shelter. Better than nothing. Inside, fluorescent lights cast everything in sickly yellow. A handful of people occupy hard plastic seats. A woman clutching a garbage bag of clothes. A man in a business suit passed out across 3 seats. Someone muttering in the corner. I choose a spot near the vending machines, as far as possible from the muttering man. The tile floor sends cold seeping into my bones the moment I sit. How did they end up here? I used to wonder about homeless people. Now I know. One bad night. One moment of standing up for yourself. One realization that the devil you know is worse than the devil you don't. Sleep proves impossible. Every footstep jolts me awake. By dawn, my throat feels like sandpaper and my head pounds with exhaustion that makes the world tilt sideways. Fresh commuters flow in with coffee cups and pressed clothes, stark reminders of how far I've fallen in 12 hours. I catch my reflection in a window, wrinkled shirt, tangled hair, hollow-eyed. A single tear slips down my cheek before I can stop it. I swipe it away hard enough to sting. Crying won't help. Nothing will except getting up, finding work, surviving. The morning passes in a blur of rejection. Every storefront, every help wanted sign leads to the same response. We're not hiring. By noon, my legs shake with each step. The gnawing in my stomach has turned to constant ache. Then I spotted a small diner tucked between a laundromat and pawn shop. The neon sign flickers weakly. Lopez Home Cooking. Through the window, I watch a woman with steel gray hair tied back in a tight bun directing staff with sharp gestures. The bell chimes as I push open the door. The woman, Marianne Lopez, according to her name tag, looks me up and down, taking in my wrinkled clothes and desperate expression. "Ever washed dishes before?" she asks. No preamble. I can learn. The kitchen air hits like a wall of heat. Grease coats every surface. The mountain of dishes seems endless. By closing time, my fingers are raw and pruned, my back screaming. When Marianne hands me $40 in cash, it feels like more than money. It feels like survival. That night, curled in the same train station corner, I allow myself to check my college fund account at the ATM across the street. The account I've been saving since I was 14, working every summer job, every holiday shift. Balance, $0. My hands shake as I navigate the transaction history. Multiple withdrawals, all under Margaret Sullivan's name. Designer clothes, concert tickets, private tutors for Jessica. The screen blurs as tears swell up. She didn't just kick me out. She made sure I couldn't leave on my own terms. Made sure I'd have nothing. But something shifts in my chest. Something harder than despair. If Margaret Sullivan could steal my future, I'll build a new one. Without her. Without any of them. Need more hours? Marianne asks the next morning, watching me scrub pots with mechanical precision. Yes. My friend owns a coffee shop. She needs help. You want in? 2 jobs means twice the escape velocity. When can I start? The coffee shop is different. Customers instead of dishes, lats instead of grease. My first real paycheck feels like victory. Small, but mine. Every dollar is a brick in the wall between me and Margaret Sullivan's voice in my head. With the paychecks from both jobs, I finally managed to rent a small apartment. Nothing but a threadbare mattress and a broken heater, but it's mine alone. I also open a new bank account, one mom can't touch. When I see my first direct deposit, I almost cry. The amount is small, but it's completely mine. Then I see it, checking my balance at month's end. I notice strange transactions. Withdrawals from my old personal account, under mom's name, dated after I left. Apparently, mom remembered the old savings account I'd made her co-signer on when I turned 18. It had barely any money, but mom found it and drained it. Worse, when I check my credit report, there's a new credit card applied for in my name. Something mom created using my personal information. I should be angry, should report it to the police. But something colder takes root instead. If mom uses my social security number to rack up debt, it'll eventually come back to haunt her. If I report her, her fraud becomes public record. It's too early for that. Someday, when I'm ready, all her wrongdoing will come back to bite her. And this time, I'll be the one watching her fall. My hands shake as I count out $1 bills on my threadbare mattress. 23, 24, 25. The bills are wrinkled and stained from 12-hour days split between Bean and Brew and Lopez Diner. The alarm blares at 4:15 a.m. Another day, another shift. My reflection shows dark circles no concealer can hide. But when you're one missed rent payment away from eviction, pride means nothing. At Bean and Brew, I've mastered the art of becoming invisible. Head down, movements efficient, voice pleasant, but forgettable. Until I'm not. Seriously, a woman in a cream blazer sneers as I fumble her complicated drink order. Why do they even hire people who can't do their job? My cheeks burn, but I keep my expression neutral as I remake her drink. Inside, rage bubbles like scalding milk in the steamer. I said sugar-free vanilla, she snaps, pushing the drink back across the counter. I remake it. Again. And again. That night, I collapse onto my bed without changing. The springs dig through the thin mattress, but I'm too exhausted to care. Then I catch it, a familiar scent. Soft, soothing lavender. My eyes find an old handmade candle tucked in my duffel bag corner. The scent pulls me back 12 years, Mom's kitchen on a rare day when she and Jessica were out. Me, carefully melting wax in an old pot, pouring it into mismatched jars from the recycling bin. The pure satisfaction of creating something beautiful from nothing. I sit up slowly, mind racing. My laptop opens to my checking account. $22.47. Just enough for supplies. You'll fail. You always do. Mom's voice sneers in my head. I click place order. 3 days later, my tiny apartment fills with the warm sun of melting wax. I measure temperatures obsessively, test fragrances, adjust ratios. Each candle takes shape under my hands, simple mason jars filled with carefully layered colors and scents that remind me of comfort. Of home. Not the home I had, but the one I always wanted. The Etsy shop setup takes hours. I photograph each candle under harsh bathroom fluorescence, trying to make them look professional. The descriptions flow easier, words about warmth, comfort, peace. Things I'm still learning to find. Days pass. No sales. I refresh the page between customers at Bean and Brew, during breaks at the diner, before falling asleep. Nothing. What made you think anyone would want this? Then a notification. 1 candle. $12. I stare at the order confirmation until my vision blurs. Barely enough to cover shipping, but it's something. It's proof. The validation lasts exactly 8 days. Then the reviews start. Poor quality. Arrived broken. Smells like chemicals. Don't waste your money. Amateur hour, get a real job. My stomach turns to ice as I read the usernames. Obvious fake names that Mom and Jessica created. They found me. Later, I discover a Reddit thread, Jessica's username unmistakable, mocking my pathetic little candle shop and reminding everyone that some people should know their place. The rage that fills me isn't hot. It's cold, crystalline. For the first time, I see the truth with perfect clarity. They don't just want me to stay down. They want to make sure I never get up. You look like you're plotting murder. I snap my head up from my phone. Riley, my bean and brew coworker, watches me with concern, wiping down the counter after closing. Her blue hair falls across her face. I'm fine, I say automatically. Yeah, and I'm the Queen of England. Spill, something in her expression, open, genuinely concerned, breaks through my walls. The whole story spills out. The candles, the reviews, the sabotage. Instead of pity, Riley's eyes light up. Dude, you need to get on TikTok. Let me help. I'm good at this stuff. Before I can protest, she's arranging my sample candles on the clean counter. Light catches the glass, making colors shimmer. Small businesses deserve support, she narrates, filming. Let's get this girl some orders. I watch her post it, certain nothing will come of it. Another dead end. Another failure. I've never been more wrong. The next morning, my phone won't stop buzzing. 10,000 views. 20,000. 50,000. Orders flood my inbox. 50, 100, 200. Numbers I never dared dream about. Then, buried in the avalanche of notifications, an email that makes my heart stop. From brand partnerships, Lux Aroma subject. Partnership opportunity, we love your work. Would you be interested in discussing a potential collaboration? My fingers hover over the keyboard as old familiar fear creeps in. What if Mom finds out? What if Jessica tries to take this away too? But something has changed. The voice in my head that sounds like Mom isn't the loudest anymore. Mine is. I click reply. 6 months later, the scent of lavender and sage fills my home studio as I pour another batch of candles. My hands move with practiced precision while order notifications ping on my phone. 300 units to ship by Friday. 2 wholesale accounts pending. 1 brand collaboration meeting next week. Today's my last day, I tell my bean and brew manager, handing over my apron. She hugs me tight, whispering, "Go get him," in my ear. That moment feels like stepping off a cliff, terrifying and exhilarating. But my online orders have finally overtaken my cafe wages. It's time. Selene. Riley pokes her head through the studio doorway, waving her phone. You might want to see this. My stomach tightens at her tone. She hands me her phone, open to a local news article. Local family faces foreclosure after years of financial mismanagement. There's my childhood home in the grainy photo, peeling yellow paint, even more obvious in newsprint. The article mentions Margaret Sullivan by name and details how she's 3 months behind on mortgage payments. A quote from a neighbor catches my eye. It's sad to see. That house used to be so well maintained, but ever since her older daughter left. There's more, Riley says softly. Jessica dropped out. Failed most of her classes last semester. The loans came due, and she trails off, watching me carefully. I turn back to my work, checking the wax temperature. Not my problem. But that night, as I package the last orders, my phone buzzes. Unknown number, but I recognize the area code. Selene, honey? My mother's voice crackles through the speaker, manipulation oozing through her words. But something's different. A tremor, uncertainty. I miss you. Family should stick together. Your sister is struggling. We all are. We need you. I let the silence stretch, feeling the weight of 2 decades of guilt and obligation press against my chest. But it doesn't crush me anymore. I end the call without speaking. The texts from Jessica start flowing immediately. I know I was a bad sister. I was just jealous. You were always so much better than me. Please, Selene. I have nowhere else to go. I block both numbers and return to my work. The wax melts. Orders ship. My business grows. 3 days later, Riley bursts into the studio again. It's gone viral. She shows me a social media post from Mrs. Chen, our old next-door neighbor, the one who used to slip me extra cookies when I helped with her garden, the one who saw everything. I watched that girl get blamed for things she didn't do her whole life. The post reads, Selene Sullivan was treated like a maid while Jessica Sullivan was worshipped. Now that Selene has a successful business, suddenly they miss her? Where was that love when she was working 3 jobs to survive? The comment section explodes with support. Old classmates emerge with their own stories. The truth about Jessica's academic cheating scandal resurfaces. Someone mentions how she used to steal other students' work. A former teacher confirms it. I watch it all unfold with strange detachment. The empire of lies my mother built around her golden child crumbles post by post, share by share. Jessica's name becomes toxic in professional circles. No one will hire her now. The next time my mother calls, she uses Jessica's phone to bypass the block. Her voice shakes. No superiority, no arrogance. Just raw desperation. Please, she whispers. We have nothing left. Jessica's call comes an hour later, her words stumbling between sobs. I have nothing left. I was horrible to you, I know, but please help me. The bell above my shop door chimes. I look up to see 2 familiar figures step inside, shadows of their former selves. Their designer clothes are gone, replaced by worn department store clearance. Makeup can't hide their exhaustion. My mother's eyes dart around the studio, calculating the value of everything she sees. Even now, she's looking for something to take. Selene, baby, her voice drips false sweetness. I know we've had our differences, but you're successful now. You can afford to help your family, right? Jessica steps forward, hands twisting together. I'll do anything. Please. I'll work for you. Just don't let me end up like this. I look at them, really look at them. The women who made my childhood a prison. The mother who stole my future to fund her favorite daughter's failures. The sister who watched me break and smiled. They wait for my response, desperate hope painted across their faces. They expect the old Selene, the one who would sacrifice everything to earn a scrap of their approval. But that Selene is gone. In her place stands a woman who built herself from the ashes they left behind. I stand in my studio, surrounded by the business I built from nothing. Fresh candles cool on the rack, their surfaces smooth and perfect. Orders wait to be shipped to customers who value my work. My bank account holds more money than my mother ever borrowed from me. The power has shifted completely. They know it, I know it. I pick up a candle, examining its flawless surface. For years, they controlled every aspect of my life, my money, my confidence, my sense of self-worth. Now they need me to survive, and the irony is sharp enough to cut glass. But here's what I never expected. The irony isn't sweet. It doesn't taste like victory or vindication. Standing here in the life I've built for myself, surrounded by the evidence of my success, I realize I feel nothing for them at all. No anger that could sustain me, no satisfaction that could fill the hollow spaces they carved out of my childhood, no love that could bridge the chasm they spent decades digging. Just nothing. And maybe that's the truest victory of all. The candle in my hands has cooled completely now, its transformation from liquid to solid complete, much like my own metamorphosis from victim to survivor to something beyond either category. I set it aside with the others, ready for shipping to someone who will appreciate its worth, someone who will light it and fill their space with warmth without ever knowing the hands that shaped it once trembled with fear and desperation. No, I say simply, the word falling into the silence like a stone into still water, creating ripples that spread outward and change everything they touch. I turn back to my work, my movements deliberate and final. There's nothing more to say. Nothing more to explain. They created this moment with 23 years of choices, and now they'll live with the consequences, just like I learned to do when they forced me out into the world with nothing but $60 and a heart full of unspoken grievances. Behind me, I hear the soft sound of Jessica's sob, the rustle of Mom's clothes as she probably struggles to maintain her composure. But I don't turn around. I've spent enough of my life looking back, trying to understand their motivations, trying to earn their approval. trying to become worthy of love that was never really on offer. The future stretches ahead of me like an unlit candle, full of potential and warmth waiting to be released. And for the first time in my life, it belongs entirely to me. Morning light streams through floor-to-ceiling windows, casting long shadows across the bamboo floors of my apartment like fingers of possibility reaching across my carefully curated space. I breathe in the rich aroma of freshly ground coffee beans, not the bitter, over-extracted brew I used to gulp down between shifts, but something expensive and complex that I bought simply because I wanted it, because I could afford it, because no one could tell me it was too extravagant for someone like me. The silence settles around me like a familiar blanket, but not the oppressive quiet of walking on eggshells. This is different. The peaceful absence of criticism, of judgment, of constant emotional landmines waiting to explode. No tension threading through the air like poison. No need to analyze every sound for signs of impending conflict. Just peace, pure and simple, filling every corner of my world. My phone buzzes with another 5-star review for Lunar Lux candles, and I scroll through the comments with something approaching wonder. People write about how our signature scents have transformed their spaces, brought comfort to difficult days, created atmospheres of warmth and safety. The words they use, beautiful, healing, perfect, are words no one in my family ever applied to anything I created. 3 years ago, I was mixing essential oils in a cramped studio apartment with hands that shook from exhaustion and malnutrition, praying I could sell enough to make rent. Now I have 15 employees who look to me for guidance, a warehouse in Brooklyn that hums with productive energy, and more orders than we can handle. Sometimes I walk through the warehouse and touch the shipping boxes, still amazed that all of this grew from $60 and a stubborn refusal to give up. The drive to my old neighborhood feels like traveling back in time to visit a museum of my own suffering. Each familiar turn stirs memories I've spent years processing in therapy, but they no longer have the power to send me spiraling into the darkness I once inhabited. The houses look smaller somehow, shabbier, as if the whole area has been diminished by my growth. When I round the final corner, I almost don't recognize the house that held me prisoner for 23 years. The pristine lawn Margaret took such pride in, the one she used to make me mow while Jessica painted her nails inside, has grown wild and unkempt, dandelions pushing through cracks in the sidewalk like small acts of rebellion. Paint peels from the shutters like dead skin sloughing off a healing wound, and a crooked, for sale sign swings in the autumn breeze, banging against the mailbox with each gust. I park across the street, my hands steady on the steering wheel as I study the abandoned shell of my childhood prison. No cars in the driveway, no lights in the windows, just empty rooms holding the ghosts of arguments long past, the echoes of criticism that once felt like physical blows. Through a broken window, probably shattered by neighborhood kids who have no idea of the symbolic perfection of their vandalism, I can see the living room where I last stood my ground. The spot where I finally said no, where I chose myself over the familiar comfort of suffering. A strange laugh bubbles up from my chest, not bitter, not haunted, but genuinely amused. This place that once seemed so massive, so suffocating, so insurmountable, now looks pathetically small and insignificant. Like a set from a play I no longer have to perform in. A story I've outgrown so completely that returning feels like visiting a childhood dollhouse. At the community center downtown, my mentorship program buzzes with afternoon energy. 30 young women gather around tables, some taking notes, others sharing stories. What started small, just me and 2 others who'd escaped similar situations, has grown beyond my wildest dreams. Maya sits in her usual corner, dark hair falling forward to hide her face. At 16, she reminds me so much of myself at Aches. Her parents kicked her out last month for refusing to give up art school for the accounting degree they'd chosen. How do you stop being afraid they'll come back? She asks when I sit beside her. Her voice trembles, but her eyes hold steady. That they'll find a way to hurt you again? I take her hand, feeling the slight tremor in her fingers. You don't have to stop being afraid. I tell her the truth I wish someone had given me. You just have to stop letting the fear control you. Walking through the center after our session ends, I think about the fundamental difference between us and them. Margaret spent her life tearing people down. Jessica took everything she could get. But I chose another way. Every time I help someone stand taller, every time I share what I've learned about survival and success, I feel a pride Margaret never knew, the kind that comes from lifting others up instead of crushing them. Later, standing on my balcony with city lights spread below, I think about Margaret and Jessica, about the patterns they're still trapped in, the cycles they'll never break. I chose a different path. Every young woman I help find her strength, every candle we ship with a handwritten note of encouragement, every moment I choose kindness over bitterness, it's another step further from becoming them. The night air carries the faint scent of autumn, crisp and full of possibility. I whisper words I've finally come to believe. Some revenge doesn't require action, just success. I take a deep breath and let the past fade into the darkness below, where it belongs.